I stood in the rain outside what used to be my family's motel, watching my father being led away in handcuffs. His eyes met mine one last time, filled with rage and disbelief. My mother collapsed on the cracked pavement, screaming that I had destroyed them. My brother Brandon lunged at me, only to be tackled by security. The red and blue lights painted the decrepit building in alternating colours of justice. This was the moment 5 years of planning had led to. This was the moment I stopped being their victim and became their reckoning. But before I tell you how we got here, before I explain how the girl they abandoned at the altar became the woman who owned their debts, I need you to do something for me. If you believe that sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out the cancer, hit that like button. If you want to see how far someone can rise when they stop letting toxic people hold them down, subscribe to this channel. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? Because this story, my story, is about to show you exactly what that looks like. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. 5 years earlier, Napa Valley was draped in golden afternoon light. The vineyard wedding venue looked like something out of a magazine, with white roses climbing up trellises and string lights waiting to twinkle at sunset. I had planned every detail of this day for 8 months. The dress alone had cost me $3,000 that I had saved from my marketing coordinator salary. I wanted everything to be perfect. Not for me, really, for them. I wanted my family to see that I had made the right choice, that Ethan, my soon-to-be husband, was worth loving, even if he did not come from money. I stood in the bridal suite looking at myself in the floor-length mirror. My hands were shaking as I adjusted my veil. My maid of honor, Rebecca, noticed. She always noticed. "You look absolutely stunning, Victoria," she said, squeezing my shoulder. "Are you nervous?" "I am terrified they will not show up," I admitted. The words felt like acid in my throat. Rebecca's face softened with the kind of pity that made me feel worse. "They are your family. They will be here." But even as she said it, neither of us believed it. My phone had been ominously silent all morning. No texts wishing me luck. No calls asking if I needed anything. Nothing. Still, I held on to a thread of hope so thin it could have snapped in a light breeze. Maybe they would surprise me. Maybe when they saw me walking down the aisle, they would realize that love was more important than bank accounts. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 o'clock. At 3:30, I walked out to peek at the venue. The white chairs were arranged in perfect rows. The string quartet was tuning their instruments. And there in the front row were 4 empty chairs. Each one had a small white card with elegant calligraphies. Father of the bride. Mother of the bride. Brandon Sterling. Chase Sterling. My stomach dropped. I checked my phone again, still nothing. I called my mother. It rang 4 times and went to voicemail. I called out my father. Same thing. Brandon did not even have his phone on. Chase, my baby brother, the one I had practically raised while my parents worked, sent me straight to voicemail. The guests started arriving. I watched from behind a column as Ethan's family filled their side with warmth and laughter. His mother kept looking over at the empty chairs on my side with concern. My side had exactly 7 people. My best friend from college, 2 co-workers, who felt obligated to come, Rebecca, and 3 of Ethan's cousins, who were kind enough to sit on my side so it would not look completely pathetic. At 3:55, the wedding planner found me. Her smile was strained. "Victoria, honey, we need to start. Are you waiting for someone?" I wanted to say yes. I wanted to say that my father would walk me down the aisle, that my mother would cry happy tears, that my brothers would stand proud. Instead, I felt my phone vibrate. A text message from my father. "We are not coming. You made your choice when you decided to marry that broke nobody. You want to throw your life away on a man who works in IT support. Do not expect us to watch. And do not expect a single penny from the family estate. You are on your own now. Maybe that husband of yours can support you with his $25 an hour job. We are done." I read it 3 times. Each time the words cut deeper. My hand started shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Rebecca rushed over. "What is wrong? What happened?" I showed her the message. Her face went white, then red with fury. "Victoria, I am so sorry. What do you want to do?" For a moment I considered calling it off, cancelling the whole thing, running away. But then I thought about Ethan waiting for me at the altar. Ethan who had held me when I cried about my father's constant disappointment. Ethan who had listened to my mother compare him to my ex-boyfriend, the one who came from old money and drove a BMW. Ethan who had endured my brother Brandon's condescending remarks about his career. Ethan who loved me without conditions. I took a deep breath and straightened my veil. "Tell the quartet to start. I am walking myself down the aisle." Rebecca grabbed my hand. "You do not have to do this alone. I will walk with you." I squeezed her hand back but shook my head. "Yes, I do. This is my choice. My life. They do not get to ruin it." When the music started and I stepped into view, I saw Ethan's face light up. His eyes were already wet. He mouthed, "You are beautiful." I focused on him and only him as I walked down that aisle alone. Each step felt like I was leaving something behind. With every row I passed, I felt lighter. By the time I reached him, I was not sad anymore. I was angry. When the officiant asked who gives this woman to be married, I spoke before he could continue. "I give myself," I said clearly. "I give myself freely and completely." The ceremony was beautiful. Ethan's vows made me cry. My vows were about partnership and choosing each other every day. We kissed, and everyone cheered. But when we turned to walk back down the aisle, as husband and wife, my eyes caught those 4 empty chairs again. This time, I did not feel sad. I felt a cold, hard resolve settling into my chest like steel. At the reception, Ethan's mother pulled me aside. She was a short, warm woman who always smelled like lavender. Her eyes were full of concern. "Victoria, sweetheart, I do not know what happened with your family, but I want you to know something. You are our daughter now. You do not need their approval. You have us." I hugged her and cried into her shoulder. She held me like my own mother never had. When I pulled away, she handed me a tissue and smiled. "Now go dance with your husband. This is your day. Do not let anyone take that from you." She was right. It was my day, and I danced, I laughed, I celebrated. But in the back of my mind, a plan was already forming, a cold calculated plan that would take years to execute. The first year of marriage was harder than I expected, not because of Ethan. He was perfect, supportive, loving, patient. Hard because we were broke. I mean, really broke. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens that had cockroaches and a radiator that clanked all night. Our furniture was from IKEA and Craigslist. We ate pasta 4 nights a week. But we were happy. We had each other. My family never reached out. Not once. No apology, no explanation, nothing. I saw on Facebook that Brandon had gotten engaged. My mother posted 50 pictures of the engagement party. I was not invited. Chase started a TikTok account where he posted videos of himself doing stupid challenges and talking about cryptocurrency. He had 12,000 followers and thought he was famous. My father opened a second motel in upstate New York. All their lives continued as if I had never existed. It hurt. I would be lying if I said it did not. Some nights I would dream that my mother called to apologize, that she said she had made a mistake, that they all came to visit and met Ethan properly and saw how happy I was. But I always woke up alone with that dream. Reality was silence. So I made a decision. If they were going to treat me like I did not exist, I would build a life so undeniable they could not ignore it. I started working 80-hour weeks. I took every opportunity that came my way. When my boss offered me a chance to lead a hotel rebranding project, I said yes. When that project succeeded and tripled revenue, I asked for a promotion. I got it. Then I got another and another. Ethan supported me every step. He cooked dinners, he rubbed my feet when I came home exhausted, he believed in me, when I did not believe in myself. 3 years after our wedding, I was the director of marketing for a boutique hotel chain. I was making six figures. We moved to a better apartment in Manhattan. We could afford nice dinners and vacations. Life was good, but I was not satisfied. I wanted more. I wanted success so loud they would hear it from wherever they were. Then opportunity knocked. The hotel chain I worked for was struggling financially. The owner was elderly and wanted to retire. He had no children and he liked me. One day, he called me into his office. "Victoria, I have been watching you for 3 years now. You work harder than anyone I have ever seen. You are brilliant and you care about this business like it is your own." "Thank you, Mr. Rothstein. That means a lot." He smiled and slid a folder across his desk. "I want to make you an offer. I am selling the company. I want you to buy it." I nearly fell out of my chair. "Sir, I do not have that kind of money. The company is worth millions." "I know, but I'm not asking for all of it up front. I'm offering you a pathway. You find investors, you secure a loan, and I will work with you on the terms. I believe in you, Victoria. I want to see you succeed." I left his office in a daze. That night, I told Ethan. He looked at me with those steady brown eyes and said, "Then let's do it." The next 6 months were a blur. I pitched to investors. I was rejected 37 times before I found a venture capital firm willing to take a chance on me. They saw my vision for transforming the hotels into luxury experiential destinations. They gave me the seed money. The bank gave me a loan that made my hands sweat when I signed the papers. Mr. Rothstein gave me terms that were more generous than I deserved. At 29 years old, I became the CEO of Sterling Luxury Hotels. I renamed the company after myself, not after my family, after me, the new me, the me that they had abandoned. The first year was brutal. I restructured everything. I fired managers who were stealing. I redesigned every property. I hired marketing experts and hospitality consultants. I worked 100-hour weeks. Ethan barely saw me, but he never complained. He knew this meant everything to me. And slowly it started working. Occupancy rates went up. Revenue increased. We opened 3 new locations. Travel magazines started writing about us. We became known for our personalized luxury experiences. 2 years later, we were valued at $100 million. 3 years later, $200 million. Last month, we went public. The IPO was oversubscribed. We closed at a valuation of $500 million. CN ran a story. Forbes put me on their 30 under 30 list. I was on the cover of Hospitality magazine. I had done it. I had built an empire from nothing. The celebration party was held at our flagship hotel in Manhattan. The ballroom was filled with investors, industry leaders, journalists, and friends. I wore a black gown that cost more than my entire wedding had. Ethan stood beside me in a tuxedo, proud and handsome. We toasted with champagne that cost $300 a bottle. Everyone congratulated me. I smiled and thanked them, but inside, I felt empty, because the people whose approval I had once craved were not there to see it. That is when security called. There was a disturbance in the lobby. Someone was causing a scene. I excused myself and went to check the cameras in the security office. What I saw made my blood run cold. Brandon and Chase were in the lobby. Brandon was screaming at the security guards. Chase was filming on his phone, doing a live stream. I could not hear what they were saying, but I could see guests staring. I could see my staff looking panicked. This was my moment of triumph, and they were here to ruin it. I walked down to the lobby with my head of security. By the time I arrived, a crowd had gathered. Brandon saw me first. His face split into a fake smile that made my skin crawl. "Victoria. There she is, my big sister, the tycoon. Too important to return her family's calls now, huh?" Chase was still filming. His voice was loud and performative. "Guys, this is wild. My sister, who abandoned our poor parents, is now a billionaire and will not even help her own family. Can you believe this?" The guests were watching. Some were recording on their phones. This was a PR nightmare in the making. I felt Ethan's hand on my lower back steadying me. "Gentlemen, you need to leave," my head of security said firmly. "This is a private event." "Private," Brandon laughed bitterly. "She is our sister, our flesh and blood, and she has not spoken to us in 5 years. 5 years, our parents are struggling, and she lives like a queen. I felt everyone's eyes on me, judging, wondering. I could handle a lot of things, but I could not handle lies being told about me in front of all these people. I stepped forward. "Security, please escort these men out. If they resist, call the police." Brandon's face turned red. "You bitch. You ungrateful, selfish bitch. We raised you." "You raised me?" I kept my voice calm, but my hands were shaking. "You ignored me for 5 years because I married someone you deemed beneath us. You did not even come to my wedding. And now that I am successful, suddenly you remember I exist." "That is not fair," Chase whined, still holding his phone up. "Mum and Dad just want to talk to you. They miss you. Then they can send me an email like civilized people instead of crashing my event and making a scene." Security began physically removing them. Brandon fought back, shouting obscenities. Chase kept filming everything, narrating for his followers. It was humiliating, but I did not cry. I did not break. I stood there and watched them be dragged out of my hotel. When they were gone, I turned to my guests and smiled. "I apologize for that disruption. Family can be complicated. Please, everyone continue enjoying the party." There was an awkward smattering of applause. People slowly returned to their conversations, but I could feel the whispers, the questions. Ethan pulled me aside. "Are you okay?" "I do not know," I admitted, but I knew this was coming eventually. He was right. Deep down, I had always known they would come back. Not because they loved me, not because they missed me, but because I had something they wanted now. Money. The next morning, I woke up to a nightmare. My father had gone on a local TV station and given an interview. He sat there in his wrinkled shirt, looking frail and elderly, claiming I had stolen his life savings to start my business. He said he had given me $50,000 for college, and instead of using it for education, I had embezzled it to fund my hotel venture. He cried on camera, actual tears. It was a complete lie. I had never taken a penny from him. I had paid for college myself with scholarships and student loans, but the damage was done. The video went viral. People on Twitter were calling me a fraud. My company's stock price dipped 3%. Investors were concerned. My PR team was in panic mode. I sat in my office staring at the video on repeat. Ethan brought me coffee. "We need to sue him for defamation," he said. "That will make it worse. It will look like I'm bullying an old man." "Then what do we do?" I thought about it. My father was betting I would be too afraid of bad publicity to fight back. He was betting I would pay him to go away. That is what he wanted. Money. Silence money. My phone rang. It was a blocked number. I almost did not answer, but something told me to pick up. "Hello, Victoria." It was my mother's voice, syrupy and fake. "Sweetheart, we need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. Please do not be like that. Your father is sick, Victoria. He has heart problems. We need help with medical bills. The motels are not doing well. We are drowning. You are our daughter. Please." I hung up. She called back immediately. I blocked the number. Then she called from another number. Then another. She left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. In one, she cried. In another, she guilt-tripped me about all the sacrifices she had made raising me. In the third, she threatened to keep going to the media. Ethan found me that evening sitting on the floor of our apartment, surrounded by my phone and my laptop, crying. "They will not stop," I said. "They are going to destroy everything I built." He sat down next to me and pulled me into his arms. "Then we stopped them first." "What do you mean?" "You are not the scared girl at the wedding anymore. You are Victoria Sterling, CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. You have resources now. Use them." He was right. I was not powerless anymore. I did not have to sit back and take their abuse. I could fight. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Marcus Chen, one of the best in New York. He had the kind of reputation that made opposing counsel nervous. I told him everything. He listened carefully, taking notes. "Do you want to sue for defamation?" "No. I want you to investigate them. Every business dealing, every financial transaction, every legal document. I want to know everything about my father's motels and my brother's finances. Hire private investigators if you need to. Money is no object. Marcus smiled slightly. This is going to be expensive. I do not care. Do it. 2 weeks later, Marcus called me back to his office. He had a thick folder in front of him. His expression was grim. Victoria, you need to sit down for this. I sat. He opened the folder and slid documents across the desk. Your father's motel business is a disaster. They are $3 million in debt. Most of it is owed to a bank in upstate New York, but about $600,000 is owed to less savory characters. Loan sharks. Possibly organised crime. My stomach dropped. How is that possible? Your brother Brandon has a severe gambling problem. He has been using the motel properties as collateral for loans to fund his habit. He owes money to casinos, to bookies, to online poker sites. Your father either did not know or turned a blind eye. Either way, they are about to lose everything. The bank has already started foreclosure proceedings. They have 48 hours to come up with the money or the properties will be seized. I sat back in my chair processing. So when my father went on TV and cried about me stealing his money, he was really just trying to manipulate me into bailing them out. Exactly. And there is more. Marcus flipped to another page. The motel business was also being used for money laundering. Small amounts, but enough to catch federal attention if anyone looked closely. Your father was taking cash payments and not reporting them. It is tax fraud, at minimum. I felt a strange calm wash over me. This was it. This was my moment. I looked at Marcus. Can we buy the debt? He blinked. What? The debt. The bank loans, the loan shark debt, all of it. Can we acquire it? Technically, yes. The bank would probably be happy to offload bad debt. The other creditors might be trickier, but with enough money, most people will sell. Why would you want to do that? Because if I own their debt, I own them. Marcus stared at me for a long moment, then he smiled. You want revenge. I want justice. And I want them to finally understand that they cannot use me anymore. It took 3 days to put it all together. Marcus worked his magic. He negotiated with the bank, bought the commercial loans at a discount. He contacted the loan sharks through intermediaries, made cash offers they could not refuse. By the end of the week, I owned every single cent of debt my family owed, $3.2 million total. It was a drop in the bucket for me now, but it was their entire world. I did not tell them, not yet. I wanted the moment to be perfect. They contacted me first. My father sent me an email requesting a meeting. He suggested a steakhouse in Manhattan, trying to put us on neutral ground. I agreed. I picked the most expensive restaurant in the city. I wanted them to feel uncomfortable. I arrived first, dressed in a tailored business suit that cost $4,000. I sat at the table and waited. They showed up 10 minutes late. My father looked older than I remembered grayer. My mother had gained weight and wore too much makeup. Brandon looked haggard with dark circles under his eyes. Chase was on his phone, barely paying attention. Victoria, my father said, attempting a warm tone. You look well. I said nothing. I just gestured for them to sit. They did, exchanging glances. My mother tried to touch my hand. I pulled it away. We are sorry we could not make your wedding, she started. It was just such a difficult time for us financially and... Cut the bullshit, I said coldly. You did not come because you disapproved of my choices. You said so in your text message. Do not insult me by lying now. My father's jaw tightened. Fine. We were disappointed. But we are family, Victoria. We can move past this. Can we? Because for 5 years I did not exist to you. No calls, no emails, no acknowledgement that I was alive. And now that I have money, suddenly you remember my name. Brandon leaned forward aggressively. Look, we do not have time for this emotional crap. We need help, okay? The business is in trouble. We need a loan. Just $2 million. We will pay you back. Will you? Yes, he insisted. Once we stabilize, we will pay you back with interest. I signaled the waiter. Bring us the most expensive bottle of wine you have. They looked confused. My mother forced a smile. That is generous of you, dear. The wine came. It was a $3,000 bottle. I poured myself a glass and took a sip. Then I looked at my father. Do you know what I learned about your business? His face went pale. What do you mean? I hired investigators. I know everything. The debts, the gambling, the money laundering, all of it. My mother gasped. Victoria, we can explain. No, you cannot. Because there is no explanation that makes this okay. You built a house of cards and now it is collapsing. And instead of taking responsibility, you tried to extort me by going on TV and lying about me stealing from you. Brandon stood up. You bitch, you have no idea what we have been through. Sit down, I said quietly. The steel in my voice made him pause. Sit down, or I will have security remove you like I did at my hotel. He sat. His hands were shaking. I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a folder. I slid it across the table. What is this? My father asked. Open it. He did. His face went from pale to grey. My mother looked over his shoulder and let out a small cry. These are your debt contracts, I explained calmly. Every loan, every creditor, every outstanding balance. I bought them all. As of 3 days ago, I own your debt. All of it. What my father could barely speak. I am not here to give you money. I am here to tell you that I am now your largest creditor. And according to these contracts, payment is due in full immediately. You have 48 hours to pay me $3.2 million, or I will foreclose on every property you own. My mother started crying. This is not possible. You cannot do this. We are your parents. You stopped being my parents 5 years ago when you abandoned me at my wedding. You made it very clear that I was only valuable to you as long as I obeyed. Well, congratulations. You taught me not to rely on family. You taught me to be ruthless. And now I am using those lessons. Chase finally looked up from his phone. This is insane. You are insane. No, I am done being your doormat. I am done letting you treat me like garbage and then beg for scraps when you need something. You wanted me to learn the value of money. Consider this my graduation. Brandon slammed his fist on the table. We will fight this. We will sue you. With what money? I smiled coldly. You are broke. You cannot even afford a decent lawyer. And every law firm in this city knows who I am now. Good luck finding someone willing to go against sterling luxury. My father finally found his voice. Victoria, please, we made mistakes, but we are still family. You cannot do this. Watch me. I stood up, placed 3 $100 bills on the table for the wine and walked out. Behind me, I heard my mother sobbing. I heard Brandon cursing. I heard Chase asking what they were going to do. I did not turn around. I kept walking until I was outside in the crisp night air. Ethan was waiting in the car. How did it go? He asked. Perfectly, I said. Now comes the hard part. The hard part was waiting. 48 hours felt like an eternity. I knew they could not pay. They did not have the money, and no bank would give them a loan in their current state. But I waited to see if they would try something. An appeal to my emotions. A threat. Something. They tried everything. My mother sent me letters handwritten begging for mercy. She talked about my childhood, about memories I did not even have. She tried to rewrite history, claiming they had always supported me. It was fiction. Brandon tried intimidation. He showed up at my office building. Security stopped him at the door, but he screamed at me through the glass, calling me every name in the book. I watched from upstairs, feeling nothing. Chase made TikTok videos painting me as a villain. He told his followers that I was an evil corporate monster who abandoned her poor family. Some people believed him. I got hate messages on social media, but most people saw through it, especially when reporters started digging into the real story and discovered my father's TV interview was full of lies. My father made one last attempt. He called me directly. Victoria, please. I am begging you. I am sorry. I was wrong. I should have been there for your wedding. I should have supported you. I was a terrible father. But please do not take everything from us. We will be homeless. I listened to his voice, searching for genuine remorse. All I heard was desperation, panic, the fear of losing control. I thought about that text message he had sent 5 years ago. the cruelty in those words, the finality. He had been so confident then that he had all the power. "You made your choice," I said, echoing his words. "Now live with it." I hung up. The 48 hours expired. I initiated foreclosure proceedings. 3 days later, it was raining, the kind of heavy cold rain that soaks you instantly. I drove upstate to their motel. It was even sadder than I remembered. Peeling paint, cracked parking lot, a flickering neon sign that said vacancy. This was the empire my father had been so proud of. This was what he had chosen over his daughter. I brought Marcus, my lawyer. I brought police officers, not security guards. This needed to be official, legal, undeniable. We arrived at 6 in the evening. The main office was in what used to be a house attached to the motel. I knew my family was inside because I could see lights on and shadows moving. Marcus knocked on the door. No answer. He knocked again. Finally, the door opened. It was Brandon. He looked terrible. Unshaven, clothes, wrinkled eyes, bloodshot. "What the hell are you doing here?" "We are here to execute the foreclosure order," Marcus said calmly, showing him the legal documents. "As of today, this property belongs to Victoria Sterling. You have 2 hours to vacate the premises. Like hell we do." Brandon tried to slam the door. One of the officers stopped it with his foot. "Sir, you need to comply with the court order," the officer said. "If you resist, you will be arrested." That is when my father appeared. He looked at me with such hatred, it almost made me flinch. Almost. "You did this. You destroyed us." "No," I corrected him. "You destroyed yourselves. I just stopped enabling you." My mother pushed past them, stumbling in the rain toward me. She grabbed my arms, her makeup running down her face. "Please, Victoria, please. We have nowhere to go. What will we do?" I gently removed her hands from my arms. "You will do what I did. You will figure it out. You will work. You will struggle. You will learn that the world does not owe you anything just because you exist." "You are heartless," she spat. "I carried you for 9 months. I raised you, and this is how you repay me." "You did not raise me out of love. You raised me because I was supposed to be your retirement plan, your investment. Well, your investment did not pay off the way you wanted." Brandon made a move toward me, and everything happened fast. He swung at me, his fist aimed at my face. The police officers tackled him before he could make contact. They wrestled him to the ground, handcuffing him as he screamed obscenities. My mother was shrieking. Chase had come outside and was filming everything on his phone, even as the rain destroyed his precious device. Marcus pulled me aside. "Victoria, there is something else you should know. We found evidence of additional financial crimes during our investigation. Tax evasion, fraudulent loan applications, and the money laundering I mentioned. The FBI has been notified. They will be opening an investigation." My father overheard. His face went white. "You reported us to the feds." "I reported criminals," I said. "That is what you are. Criminals who thought you could cheat the system forever." The police arrested my father right there. They read him his rights while my mother wailed. They arrested Brandon for assault and battery. Chase stood there soaking wet, his phone dead finally silent. My mother and Chase were ordered to leave the property immediately. They were given 30 minutes to pack whatever they could carry. I watched it all happen from under Marcus's umbrella. I felt no joy, no satisfaction, just a cold, hollow sense of completion. This chapter was closing. Before I left, I walked through the motel one last time. The rooms were musty and outdated. The furniture was cheap. This place was a monument to my father's delusions of grandeur. He had always talked about how he was a businessman, a property owner, someone important. But this place was rot wrapped in neon lights. I made a decision right then. I called my construction manager. "I need you to bring a demolition crew here as soon as the property is legally clear," I said. "I want this place torn down to the foundation." 6 months later, my father and Brandon were both in prison. My father got 4 years, Brandon 3. My mother became a grocery store cashier. Chase worked at a car wash. They were living the exact life they had once mocked Ethan for having. On the ruins of my father's motel, I built something that mattered. The Victoria Foundation Centre opened as a shelter for women and children escaping abusive families. It had counselling, job training, legal aid, everything I wished had existed when I felt trapped. At the grand opening, a journalist asked why I chose this specific location. Because this land used to represent control, I said. Now it represents freedom. You can build something beautiful from what once hurt you. Within months, we were at capacity. We expanded, opened a second location, then a third. It became my proudest achievement. A year later, a letter arrived from prison. My father's handwriting was shaky. 4 pages of apologies, pride, requests to rebuild our relationship. I read it twice, searching for sincerity. Maybe some was real, but it did not matter. You cannot unring a bell. You cannot unabandon someone. I fed the letter through my office shredder and watched it become confetti. 2 years after everything, I sat in my office overlooking Manhattan. Ethan brought coffee and asked if I regretted what I had done. No, I said. They chose a cruelty over compassion, money over their daughter. I just showed them who they really were. My phone buzzed. Another woman had been safely placed in our housing program. Another life changed. That was what made it worth it. Not the money or revenge, but knowing my pain had become something that helped others. I learned that you do not owe loyalty to people just because they share your blood. Family is defined by respect and love, not DNA. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away from people who refuse to see your worth. You cannot save people who do not want to be saved. The girl who walked down the aisle alone was not weak. She was the strongest version of me. She chose herself when no one else would. So here is my question for you. Have you ever had to make that impossible choice to walk away because staying was killing you? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe because I have more truths to share about what it takes to rebuild yourself from nothing. Remember, you are not alone. There is always a way forward. Your family does not define you. Your past does not trap you. You have the power to write your own ending. I did, and you can too.